And we're live. Damn, I didn't do any
Alrighty.
intros or anything.
No music, no
Yeah, I
nothing.
know
Just
it's
like here we is.
yeah, like I don't know how to do the live stuff, so I apologize to everyone. But welcome to another edition of Wakanda Whiskey, Bourbon, and Blerddom with Paul and Mark. Happy New Year to
I'm Mark.
everybody. Paul. They can see your name in your little Mark Anthony
Oh yeah,
thing.
that's right. It's right there.
It's right there,
Happy
right
New Year,
next to you.
folks. Hopefully everyone had a very good holiday season, was safe, and was able to enjoy friends and family. Hopefully you got some decent gifts. I got actually something pretty good. My aunt, who lives in Texas, she's always consistently been a good gift giver. I got a humidor. She got me a cigar humidor.
Oh,
Very
that's
nice
nice.
humidor. Yeah, very, yeah. The only bad thing about it is I already have a good one, so I now have two. So that just means I have to go out and buy more cigars along with the comic books I buy. So
That's the logic behind it. Is if you already have one, you have
that,
to buy more.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So hopefully everybody has been reading and keeping up with their pulls and the comic books. There probably will be some spoilers. So if we start mentioning stuff that you haven't seen, just be aware that there may very well be spoilers. Um, Obviously, as everyone knows, comics come out on Wednesday. We've not had a chat in about a month. Right before not right before, but before the holidays. So we're kind of playing catch up with some of the books we may end up discussing, as well as some of the stuff that came out recently, like within the past couple of weeks. You may be like me, that you were behind on your pulls because I was out of town for basically 10 days and I had some work stuff going on before that. So I wasn't able to get to my shop for about 3 weeks. So when I finally got back in town last week and I went up there this week to get my pulls, I had like 30 books waiting for me, and I was able to get through some of them, but not everything. And because this is Black Comic Lords, the books that I focused on reading were the Black centric, minority centric books. Um, the ones that I got that I read that are Black centric are Basilisk, which I enjoyed, Black Panther, which I love but has some issues. One that's not really black centric, but I also like a lot, is this one called Cross the Bear. I won't. There we go. I won't focus on this one because it's not really black centric, but it's a decent read. I really like it. Surprisingly, Dark Knights of Steel, which is really really good. Tom Taylor is one of the top five comic book writers out today, in my humble opinion, and he ain't number five. I put him up there with Hickman as far as quality content that's out there of modern stuff. Love it. Nubia was new out, I believe. Ordinary Gods, new out. White, issue number 6, which I believe just dropped this week, which was a phenomenal read. I started reading The Rise of Jin, but I haven't been able to finish it yet. Um, Kevin Grievous, who's the author of this, said it says on the cover that there's 38 pages of content. He's not lying. Like, there are no ads whatsoever in this book.
Oh,
And
it's full
Paul and
story. I
I,
mean, it's like Silver Age type of reading.
right. And what I was about to say is, Paul and I have known each other for over almost 30 years at this point. And, we've discussed comic books ad nauseum over the past, 27, 28 years. And one of the things that we've said consistently at comic books, the golden age of comic books, silver age of comic books, used to have more content for a less price, for cheaper prices than what's out now. You get less content and you're paying more. You're paying anywhere between $3 and $5 a book. But the old stuff, even though it had a lot of ads, it had also a lot of content. This right here, the rise of Jin, 38 straight pages of content. There are no ads, there are no breaks. There's nothing but straight content, and I'm
It
enjoying this
was
book.
$5.99,
But
right?
I think so. I don't see the price on here. That's funny. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I think it's $5.99. I don't have my glasses on. The other book that we're going to discuss now, I haven't read my issue yet, but Paul has read his, the latest issue of Two Moons, and I haven't read the latest issue of Noctera, which is Black Top Bill special. So that's it. You know, those are the ones that we'll probably discuss along with some other stuff. I
So
think
which
we
one
should
you want to
start with
start
Black
with
Panther.
first? Black Panther?
Yep, Black Panther. Black
Gotcha.
Panther. How many covers were there on issue number 2? Do you know?
I do not know actually. There was a lot.
This is I got the I think this is the A cover. And so you have read it, yes?
Yes.
What did you think? We're 2 issues in. What do you think?
I think I thoroughly enjoyed um, John Ridley's writing. Much of the criticisms that I had with Coates' 2 runs in terms of the pacing, the amount of action, um, those are not issues here. I mean, issue number 1 starts with a battle scene, literally. Um, the one criticism that I would have of this book, and based on what I've seen on Twitter, I am not in the minority on this, is the level of disrespect that I see the Wakandan subordinates have towards T'Challa. Um, Now, and I'm of course biased because Black Panther is my dude on this, but um, I understand that in Coates' run, um, T'Challa has fallen out of favor with his people. So much so that there was a civil war to basically depose him as monarch. And they are now, Wakanda is now in a, for all intents and purposes, a parliamentary monarchy. His role and his powers have greatly diminished. But if you look at other parliamentary monarchies in the world, a king is still a king. Royalty is still royalty. You can be critical, but not, they are still held in a degree of reverence. Um, the type of reverence, there's no to reverence, there seems to be. All of T'Challa's subjects that you see him speak to him like he's just some regular guy. They call him T'Challa. They don't call him my king.
Your
One
Highness, Your
guy curses him
Majesty,
out.
no
Yeah, nothing
titles.
like that. They just talk to him like, here's his first name, and just no titles. Curse him out. I'm not going to do what you say. Think of it this way. Imagine that you're a British citizen speaking to Queen Elizabeth that way. Queen Elizabeth has no real power. She is a figurehead for all intents and purposes. But even British citizens don't go up to Elizabeth and say, screw you, or I'm not going to do, or hey Elizabeth, how you doing? Or, hey Lizzie. They don't do that. There's a certain degree of respect that you give them regardless, because they are the figurehead of your nation. They are your nation's embodiment in a person, kind of like a mascot.
Um,
They don't even give
yes,
T'Challa that level of respect.
you know, T'Challa has been the king of Wakanda for, in our world for, 50 years. And so he's built up this mystique of being intelligent, as being regal. And there's just, there are certain people who have an air about them that you would respond to them in a certain way. For example, when the musician Prince, God rest his soul, was alive, the mystique that he had built up around the entirety of his career was one that would leave your average person in awe. That's the way T'Challa has come across when it came to most writers. We're talking about Priest, we're talking about McGregor, we're talking about Hudlin specifically, maybe even Kirby. Okay, but what Coates did, I think, demystified T'Challa, and I don't like it at all. I don't like what he did with Wakanda. I don't like the direction that Ridley is taking in kind of piggybacking off of that. You know, in both issues, in issue 1 and 2, we've only had 2 issues of this book now. And in each issue, there is somebody being, you know, just blatantly disrespectful to a man who has saved not only Wakanda, not only the world, but existence numerous times. And, you know, in one of the first panels in issue number 2, a dude is basically saying, fuck you, T'Challa. Like, I just, that irks me to no end. Now, outside of that, and how some of his subjects are treating him, like Paul said, the pacing, the action, the art, you know, T'Challa looks like I expect T'Challa to look.
Yeah, the artist is fantastic.
Yeah, who's the artist? Juan
Peralta,
Cabal. Who is it?
Cabal. Is it Cabal
Cabal?
or is it
Yeah,
Peralta?
Juan Cabal. Juan Cabal. That's, you know, this person, the way he's drawn in this book makes him look like I envisioned T'Challa in my head, going all the way back to the Kirby days. You know, he's got the clean shaven, he's got the mini fro. I mean, he looks like a cool brother, right? I enjoy this. To criticize further the Coates run, when was it Brian Stilfreeze was drawing him? I mean,
Yeah, initially.
he made him look old. He looked like the dude, this British dude from that 50 Cent show who was in prison. What's that show? I can't remember the name
No,
of the
no,
show.
no. You're thinking of Daniel Acuna. Daniel Acuna is the artist who made him look a little older. Made him look more
Okay.
like the dude from the gangster show.
Well,
Uh,
to me, he looked like the dude from
Demisu
that 50
Demisu
Cent.
Ciro,
Huh?
the gangs of London.
Yeah,
Demisu
Sope Dirisu.
Sopo
Sope
Dirisu.
Dirisu.
Daniel Acuna
Right.
made him look like Sope Dirisu
To you.
on a
To
rough
me,
day.
he looked like, huh?
On a rough day.
Right. He didn't look like that to me. I see why you would say that, but to me, he looked like more of the dude who is in this for life. That's the name of the show, For Life. That's who he looked like to me in some of the panels, and I just didn't like it at all. But going back to this iteration of Black Panther, um I am enjoying this version of the character, just not how he's being treated. I don't like how Wakanda now is this parliamentary democracy. I don't like that. I like the way it always has been. You know, I'm just not a fan of that. But the story is good, and I'm curious about what they're doing, and I'm interested to see what happens next. So for me, that's
This
what's
this is the
important.
version. This is the version you're talking about, right?
Yes, right, exactly. Yes,
Yeah, that's the one that to me looks
yes.
like Sope Dirisu from Gangs of London.
Right. And he looks like the dude from For Life to me. Pull him up if you can.
I don't know who that is, dude.
Okay. You have access to Google. But that's who he looks like to me. But I don't like the way he was I don't like the way he was drawn. The coach run was just horrible. I'm sorry. It just was not good at all. So, but that was it for Black Panther. Did you read Basilisk?
I'm not up on the latest issue. Um, I think it's up to issue
Okay.
6 now, and I've read the first 4, maybe. I
It is.
think.
Okay. Well, Basilisk is pretty good. Since you haven't read it, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna spoil it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Go ahead.
But I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying the art. I'm enjoying the story. Well, eh, yeah, that's it. I'm enjoying it. For those who don't know, who haven't read it, basically, the protagonist whose name escapes me, her entire family was killed by this group of individuals individuals who go by the name of, what are they called? There's about 5 or 6 of them. I can't remember the name of the group
Yeah, the
that they're
part of the
called.
part of the experiment. I don't remember the name they
Hold
go
on one
by.
second. I'll tell you in one.
It's something like the Coven or something.
Hold on. I'm about to tell you in 1 second. Something like that. Hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me as I'm reading it. But whatever name the group goes by, there's about 5 or 6 of them, and they have special powers, and they just slaughtered an entire town that the protagonist family was in, and her quest now is to destroy them. One of their members has switched sides and has joined her, who is a black female. The protagonist seems like she's either black or Hispanic, perhaps. It's not really clear, but I consider this a quote
She
unquote
looks more
black
like
book,
indigenous to me or something.
and she very well could be Hispanic. I'm not sure, but it's not what is clear to me, at least, is it doesn't seem that it is yet again another white character, right? So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I pick up this book. This is one of the reasons why I enjoy this book, because for generations, all we've had have been white centric books, and so now, I'm collecting for the first time in my life more books that feature and focus on minorities and women. So, and this book does that, and it does so in a very good way, unlike another book that came out last year by the name of Eve. But that book is over and done with. There's no need to
Eve
really
was a
go
good
there.
book until the last issue.
So, last issue, yeah, Chimera. They're known as the Chimera.
The Chimera, right?
That's about 5 or 6 of them who go collectively by the name of Chimera. They each have specific individual powers. They're a bunch of crazy, murderous individuals, and like I said, one of their members has switched sides and is trying to take down her old clique. And it's a pretty interesting, good read to see what happens. I'm not going to really go that into depth in it, but at the end of the day, she attempted to take him down and failed miserably. But
I
that
have
that's
a
basically the
comment.
extent of it.
I have a comment from someone
The
on
next,
Facebook that says, "Hi." Oh, it's Ricky. Ricky Tomlin is out on a date and watching us. Ricky, the date cannot be that exciting if you're watching us. Focus on you know your date. I appreciate you,
yeah, bro.
but
This will be
focus on your
recorded,
date.
man. You can just watch it later.
You can watch it later.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, unless the person you're
Unless
on a
it's your
date with is into this and you're watching it together as a group activity, then hey.
right, that's
Otherwise,
fine.
focus on your date.
Or if it's your wife and you see her every day anyway, no big deal. But thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoy the content we're putting out. The next book, Dark Knights of Steel.
Yeah, yeah, that is a
This
good
book
book.
right here
That is a
is
good book.
to alt world story.
Your internet's breaking up a bit, Mark.
It is on number 3 of 12. It's a Tom Taylor. That boy, right? Like I said, he is one of the five. Have you read the latest issue?
I have.
Is it?
I was upset, but it's good.
Did I lose you?
I'm
That
not
book
spoiling
is
what made me
phenomenal.
upset, but
Right. It's it, let me just say, like I said, it involves thus far in the 3 issues that have been out. It has shown us the top three, which includes Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Seen Black Lightning. We have seen Lois Lane.
Supergirl,
Constantine has made an appearance. Supergirl.
Supergirl, Green Lantern,
Oh,
the Emerald Knight.
mm-hmm. It's just, if you like alt world stories, which I do, if you like sword, medieval type Arthurian legend type stuff, um, Dark Knight Steel is definitely the book for you. It's 12 issues. It's up to issue number 3. I'm not gonna go into what's happened in it thus far, so it won't be spoiled for you. But listen to what I'm telling you. It is a great, great read, and as you can see, one of the main protagonists, or one of the main characters, I should say, in this book is Jefferson Pierce, who is a king of his own kingdom with an entire family.
Yeah,
It's just, oh, man, this is a good book. This is an extremely
it
good book.
really
I
is.
cannot say enough things about this.
Jefferson Pierce and Black Lightning is just one of the most slept on, underutilized characters DC has. I point this out all the time in his latest run on Outsiders. There's a really, really, really good scene between Batman and Black Lightning, where Black Lightning's chafing at the fact that Batman's a micromanager, and he's like, "Why do you do that? Why do you treat me like a child?" And he's like, "No." Batman's like, "Dude, I actually have a lot of respect for you. I'm a dude in a bat suit who hangs around with basically gods on the Justice League, and I consider you to be one of those type of guys." And it shook Jefferson to his core, and then Batman ultimately ended up giving him a power up. Jefferson Pierce is he should be, when we say the Trinity, it really should be a quadruple or whatever the term is, because Black Lightning, if DC had used him properly, more, he should really be a part of that Trinity. Um, he's at that level of power.
I
Seeing him as a king is cool.
he is a powerful character, but if you were going to add, to me personally, with all due respect to Jefferson Pierce, if you want to add somebody else and make it a trinity, from a trinity to a quad, that would need to be Arthur, from Arthur Curry, uh,
He's already
aka
part of
Aquaman.
Justice League. I mean, he's already
No,
considered
we
part of
understand he's
the
part of the
main
Justice
founder.
League, but Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are considered the quote unquote big three, as in the most important figures of the Justice League in DC. And I'm just saying, from a historical standpoint, for me at least, the fourth person, which would make sense, would be, as far as popularity and I'm not necessarily going to say powers, but from popularity is concerned, is Aquaman. When you think of popular culture, you hear more about Aquaman than you do Black Lightning. With his
with with
show,
that with with that type of
the
analysis,
needle did not move that much, even when he had his own show, unfortunately. But
with,
yeah,
with that type of analysis, black characters will always have a second seat. I will never use that analysis.
that's
I'll
yeah,
never use. Let me finish.
that's true.
I will never use a
I know I'm
historical
agreeing with you.
analysis. I didn't mention history. I was talking power levels. Power levels wise, Jefferson Pierce is just as powerful as these other characters, and he should be given that level of promotion and respect. The fact that he
From a
hasn't had his own singular book is just a travesty. He should.
he has. He's yeah, well, he has.
Not
He
recently.
has.
He's
He had
sharing.
it.
He's
He had his
sharing. He's
own book in the
presently sharing a
'70s,
book.
and he had.
He's sharing. Listen to me. I'm talking about having an ongoing series, like Green Lantern, or how the Flash always has a series. Aquaman always has a series, even though they're not part of the Trinity. These other characters always have their own series. Black Lightning should be one of those guys. He should have his own series at all times. He is that important to character.
His ongoing series. I don't necessarily disagree with you.
Not to mention his
He
power
has
set
had his
is
own series
crazy.
in the past. He had his own
Again,
series back in the 70s. He had
again, I'm
a
not talking
series,
about.
but it
I'm
was
not
a
saying
limited
he's never had a
series.
series.
It was a limited series that came out in the around the time that the Black Lightning show dropped. So we're talking the mid 2000, late 2000s. He had his own series. But yes, you are absolutely correct that he has not had a continuous, ongoing series. And as I sit here and think about it, I think about the Black characters over in DC. Rarely have they had a long term, ongoing series featuring their Black characters. And the ones I'm thinking about, Cyborg, John Stewart, Green Lantern, who I would put is one of the top four over Jefferson Pierce. That's just me. Him, what's my girl's name? Vixen. Truth and Justice. The reason why I got Truth and Justice, which was a limited series from DC, was because on issue number one, it was Vixen. So I'm thinking Truth and Justice is about to be a Vixen either ongoing or limited series. It was not. She was just featured in issue number one, and each issue addressed different issues. But who else is John Stewart Green Lantern? He's been kind of ongoing. What's your girl's name? The Green Lantern from Far Sector. What's her name? Not Far Sector, but whatever it's called.
Sojourner Mullen.
Say it again.
Sojourner Mullen. Joe Mullen.
Sojourner Mullen. Yes. Her. She had her own book, but I can't really think of the Black characters in DC who have had ongoing books. Oh, Mr. Terrific. I'm sorry. Mr. Terrific had that's a team book. So he
He had
had
a
the
team book.
Terrifics, and it went up to around right. He had a team book that went up to around 30 issues or so. So basically, his book was DC's answer to the Fantastic Four. That was his book. But yeah, as an individual, there have been no long-term ongoing titles in DC and for Black characters, and that's an issue. That is an
But
issue.
they're making up for it now.
Justice
They're
League
making up.
Odyssey. The Green Lantern book is basically a Black book when you think about it. The current iteration
It's
of the
absolutely a Black
Green
book.
book. Yeah,
It's the
I mean, no
blackest Green
Hal
Lantern book
Jordan,
they've
no
ever
Guy
had.
Gardner to be right, right. So
There's a
that
bit
one,
of
but
a
other,
there's a bit
but
of a
it's kind
delay
of a team
between
book.
us talk. There's a bit of a delay between us talking. Your internet is going a little slower than mine.
Okay, but yeah. So anyway, but yeah, Dark Knight still is very good. Um, Nubia, have you read Nubia?
Of course.
Well, don't say of course because you're behind on some things. So I don't know, but you have read this.
That's at the
This
top of
is
the
an
list, man.
extremely this is an extremely good book. In Nubia, for those who don't know, Nubia of the Amazons has become the queen because Queen Hippolyta has given up her crown and has actually joined her daughter Wonder Woman on a version of the Justice League. So she is currently in man's world fighting threats to the planet with the Justice League. So Nubia back on Themyscira has taken over as the queen. And it's an extremely good book. It is really good.
Yeah, they're really focusing on the world building in Nubia. Um, Vida Ayala and sorry, Stephanie Williams, Vida Ayala, and Alytha Martinez doing the art are really trying to build. It's the reason it's called Nubia and the Amazons. Our boy
Mm-hmm.
Rich said, they should just call it the Amazons because Nubia. I need more Nubia, but they're really trying to balance it out because they're trying to do world building on the Amazons themselves. There's a
Mm-hmm.
big push right now at DC in that regard. There hasn't been this much world building on the Amazon since George Perez's run in 1987, because he really revolutionized uh, the whole Amazon genre. sunset. But
Since you mentioned, oh, real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but since you mentioned George Perez, it has been announced a couple of weeks ago that George Perez has inoperable cancer, and he's got less than a year to live, which is very very tragic and unfortunate. He's one of the best out there in the biz. And when he finally does make his transition, it's going to be very sad because he's given a lot to the industry. He's created some
yes,
iconic characters, iconic covers, iconic stories. George Perez will be a huge loss to the industry when he passes.
he
But
absolutely will. He absolutely will. The first con I ever went to, he was the first artist I ever got something signed from. He signed my Infinity Gauntlet, and he signed a picture from the cover of Wonder Woman number one that he did, and something else. There was something else he did, but yeah, one of the
he was
most
here.
genuinely nice
Yes,
people you could ever meet.
yeah. I met
Never,
George
never says
Perez.
no. He never says no to stopping for a photo or saying hi. He is one of the most the consistent comment you'll hear from everyone who's ever met the man. He is just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
I went to Dragon Con here in Atlanta. I think it was around 2018, and I knew he was going to be in town, so I packed up a couple of books. He was at his table, and I approached him, was like, "Hey, can you sign a couple of books for me?" No issue whatsoever. Like you, I had him sign my Infinity Gauntlet #1, as well as that Infinite Crisis from DC with the iconic cover of Superman holding Supergirl in his arms. He signed both of those for me, and we posed with pictures with those covers. Very, very nice man. Very genuinely kind man. It was, yeah, yeah. So when I heard of his diagnosis and prognosis, I was very saddened knowing that he won't be with us for much longer. But going back to Nubia, one of the things I like about it is it explains how they get new Amazons. When you watch things like what was it, Batman, Superman, Apocalypse, or what was that animated show when Darkseid showed up on on Themyscira, and it was the first introduction of Supergirl. What was that? Which one was that one? You
I
remember?
have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. There was a cartoon. It was a cartoon movie that I'm pretty sure that you've seen. And in that movie, Batman and Superman were the main focus of it. And Kara Jor-El showed up on planet Earth, and she was kidnapped by Darkseid. Do you remember that? You don't remember that movie? Okay. Well,
I do
anyway,
not.
in that movie, they were trying to. Darkseid was going to kidnap Supergirl, but as a distraction, he sent in a whole bunch of Doomsday clones, which was wiping out Amazonians left and right. And I remember watching that and thinking, I wonder if they get new Amazonians, because if they get killed off through attrition, you're not going to have any more Amazons. Well, this book, Nubia, speaking of world building, addresses that very issue. How it is that you get new Amazons. It's very interesting. I look forward to the next issue each month. There are some books
Well,
that's not true
you
for
know where they
me.
got that from. They got that from George Perez's run, specifically this scene right here. This is the Chamber of Souls, not the Well of Souls. It says the Chamber of Souls. But he was the one. It was in this run that this concept was created with where Amazons come from. Now they have taken this and sort of morphed it into a well of souls in Nubia and the Amazons. But the other significant thing about George Perez's run was the fact that prior to him, you never saw any black Amazons. and he was like one of the first ones to
Did he
introduce
create
that
Nubia?
concept. Did he create Nubia? No.
Did he create? Okay. Before we had, well, not before, but around the time that the MCU started, the DC animated universe. Well, I'm not going to call it that, but DC's animation department is rivals Marvel's MCU Marvel Studios because they put out some great content. And then the movie that I'm talking about is Superman Batman Apocalypse. And in that book, um
Mark?
in that movie, I should say, like I said,
Yeah, you're free. Mark, you're
um
freezing up. Just so you know.
Dark Side to make her one of his furies. Very, very good movie. If you've not seen Superman, okay. If you've not seen Superman Batman Apocalypse, I highly recommend you watch that movie. And there was Superman Batman Public Enemies, which was also part of that same con. So, and that was it. Did you read Ordinary Gods?
I am not caught up on Ordinary Gods.
Did you read Ordinary Gods? Okay. Ordinary Gods is also up to issue number 6 right here. And early on, it had me, but this issue kind of, I don't know, it's kind of
It's,
meandering right now, and I can't say that I'm really enjoying it anymore. Um, what issue are you up to?
I think I got up to issue 3.
Okay, all right. I mean, early on, it was very good. It was very entertaining, but now this issue, I don't know. I'm gonna ride it out, but mm, I don't know.
I know it seems to have slowed down a
I'm
bit.
not as enamored with it as I once was.
I mean, this is issue what? What that's issue 6 now, right? I mean, to me, it sounds
It
like
was
the
fun.
this storyline should have been wrapped up in 6 issues. So I don't
Oh,
know if I'm
like I
going to
said, you're,
continue
you're
to
up to
keep
issue
putting stuff on
three,
my
and
list.
up to issue three. At issue 3, it was still fine. Maybe even issue 4, but the last couple of issues, I'm just not impressed with. Um,
Yeah.
the reason why I focus on is like the main character is a black dude who is basically the reincarnation of some god from some other plane of existence or whatever, and it, it's kind of losing me. I'm not gonna lie because it's kind of hard to keep everything in check. It's kind of hard to keep everything in your memory. But
Yeah, because
I don't know.
it's not like
I don't know.
Highlander
I don't know.
where
Yeah.
one person you see one person go through time. You're seeing people in different being reincarnated into different people, different personas, different ways that they look, different countries throughout time. So it can be a bit confusing, particularly when you do flashbacks.
Yeah. 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 The next book is White, and this appears to be the end of this run based on the final panel. This is issue number 6. Listen, the brother who writes this book, he also wrote a book Black that Paul told me about a long time ago. In the Black and White world, those are two separate books that are each about 6 issues each. In this world, only black folks have superpowers. And there is a family known as the Man, MANN family, who are their enemies. Basically, they are the enemies of the black superpowered individuals. So literally, and it just struck me, literally the black folks are fighting the man, and it is so very good. The pacing, the story, the action, the art in the book is black and white, much like Black Cotton. Shout out to Brian Hawkins and Patrick Foreman. But the art inside is black and white, but it doesn't detract from the story itself. If you have not read White, I'm going to highly encourage you to pick it up. I would encourage you to pick up Black. I was able to find five of the six issues of the story from the publisher. Boom, is it Black Mask Studios. If you can pick it up or get a trade paperback, I'm not a fan of trade paperbacks, but you can get paperback or whatever. Highly encourage you to read Black. Highly encourage you to read White. You're behind on
There's two
this
other
too,
series.
correct?
There's two other series for it as well. There's one called uh, Black AF and Black AF America's Sweethearts, which are two other mini series that take place between black and white.
Yeah, it's and another thing, the brother who writes it, I know I'm gonna mispronounce his name. It is Kwanzaa Osayo Osayefo Osayefo. This brother can write, and he is a good follow on Twitter. He responds on Twitter. He doesn't go by that name, but it's like Kwanzaa something that he goes by. But he's a good follow. He's cool, and I cannot say enough good things about the book White, which I think has just ended its run. Very, very,
Yeah,
very good book.
I hope I ordered that from my
What
LCS.
else?
I don't even know. It's so hard. It's hard to keep track of that one because it had a very limited print run, and not all stores had it. I pre-ordered it from several stores, and I'm sorry, I pre-ordered several copies, uh, and they just ran out, even with the
Yeah,
pre-orders.
there was a point when you couldn't find the stuff because everybody wanted it, and the publisher was only sending out very limited issues. Issues very
2,500. They only printed 2,500 copies.
Yeah, it became ridiculous. But I was fortunate enough to be able to get all of them. Um,
Did you get all first
yeah,
prints, or did you get second and third prints?
I'm assuming first. I honestly don't know, but it's Paul put me onto that. It's an extremely good book. It's an extremely good world that he has built.
Yeah.
You got black folks fighting the man. I can't say enough good things about it.
I like to liken it like if you and I were sitting here talking about, man, let's make a comic book. I could imagine us coming up with a story like this. Like, let's just give the black folks the powers. That's it, and see
Yeah,
what happens.
it was really really good. I'm looking up. You know what? There's a few of them. There's Black AF America's Sweethearts and Black AF Widows and Orphans.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Right.
One of the other books, like I'm on Black Mask's website right now, and on the main page is scrolling through some of the books that they put out, and one of them is Everfrost, and I couldn't get through issue number one. That was not a good book to me.
My man Rich said that it actually got better as you read it.
I'm sure he thinks
I tried
so.
reading the first issue 3 times. I wasn't able to get through it.
Yeah, I issue one was just horrible. It was just god awful. And if I can't get through issue one, you don't have me, and I'm not gonna pick up the rest of your stuff thinking that or hoping that it's gonna get better. Um, yeah, God, Everfrost was bad.
I'll tell you what's good though. Two moons.
Yep,
Two moons.
yep. I haven't read this week's issue or the
Oh
latest
man,
issue. Yeah.
that's a shame because I'm about to spoil the hell out of it.
Well,
All right,
I've
so
talked about a whole bunch of books, and I haven't spoiled them.
So Two Moons is a story about a Native American dude. Um, his real name is Two Moons. He was sort of found by some white folk when he was young, and they renamed him Virgil Morris and taught him, quote unquote, the white man's ways or what have you. Long story short, he gets back to his roots. He's part of the Pawnee tribe, but he comes from a long line of shaman, I guess you would call it, seers, magic wielders, what have you. And so, part of his power as a seer is to be able to see demons and ghosts and spirit, supernatural uh, entities that are malevolent, and he becomes kind of a slayer, so to speak, of these forces. But all this takes place in sort of the Civil War era. Um, in issue 7, there's a 20-year jump to the
which
future.
I didn't like. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't like that, but there's a 20-year jump into the future. So I guess you're now post Civil War. You're in more of the Reconstruction era, and issues 7 and 8. 8 is the one that you see on the screen right now. In issue 7 and 8, it has a storyline involving Buffalo Soldiers, and how they come
Yeah.
across Two Moons. So uh, very well written, very well drawn. The art is fantastic, very cinematic art style. And if you're into period pieces, if you're into westerns, if you like Philadelphia, supernatural stories, this is a good story for you. I included in this because of the beyond it just being a very good comic book. There's now the connection with the Buffalo Soldiers being in there, which is kind of dope. But you haven't read the latest issue yet.
No, I haven't. No, not yet. I'll read it tomorrow. I'll read it tomorrow. I mean, issues 1 through 7. I've absolutely enjoyed. I like the character. Um, I've been collecting, as I said earlier, been collecting more independent books involving minorities. Collecting now more books that have nothing to do capes and cows. This is not a superhero book, more along the lines of a horror book, sort of. And it's good. I have enjoyed it. I did not like the 20-year time or however long that time period was jump between like issue 7. But you the way the author writes things, you catch up relatively quickly. I in the interim time period, you know, um, you've got all the time in the world to tell your stories in this format. So I don't see creatively why they did it the way they did. I don't get that, and I don't agree with it. So falling off in quality content, unlike some of these other books like Eve, like now Ordinary Gods. So, but yes, it's a book that I would. You finished Rise of the Jinn, right,
Yeah,
Paul? You finished Rise of the.
I have.
Go ahead, because I haven't finished it. I'm like, right, okay. I've not finished mine. So, what did you want to say about that one?
I mean, it's only 2 issues in, so I mean, if you haven't gotten this book yet, you can still get it. As Mark mentioned earlier, it's how many pages did you say? 32, 35? It's a lot of pages.
38.
38. Wow, 38 pages. Um, Dope book. It's written by Kevin Greavy, who, as you all know, uh, has a long history. He's written on New Warriors. Um, he wrote Bass Reeves. He was the creator of Adam Brashear, the Blue Marvel.
He was a
Um,
creator of the Underworld franchise.
he was a creator and star, one of the stars in the Underworld franchise.
I wouldn't say
Just
star. He was in it.
he was an actor. He had a key role. He was in most of the Underworld movies, as a matter of fact.
I've lost
Um,
count. There are.
yeah, but basically, you have this sister here who's a police officer who finds out that she is empowered, has powers. She is part of a group of people, for all intents and purposes, that are genies and have genie powers. There's like three sets of these genies. I forget all the terms. Hers is called Marid, um, and they encounter her and reveal to her power and her background, and she's basically learning her powers and what that means without giving away the story. But real good book, man. The art's on point. I enjoy the art.
Yep. Concur.
Um, Story is cool. Again, I mean, I've never been much for horror. I don't even like horror movies. But with books like this and Philadelphia and Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog, um, Two Moons, I just there's some good stuff out there. You really just can't turn your eye to it. So highly recommend Rise of the Jinn. I mean, it's only two
One of
issues in, so you can still get into it.
one of the things about Kevin that I'm picking up on is he likes writing stories about communities outside of the normal communities. And I say that because when you think of the Underworld franchise, you have the vampires and the Lycans who have existed for hundreds, if not thousands of years that most normal humans don't know about, locked in an eternal struggle against each other. The same thing occurs in the Rise of Jin, in that you have these three different clans who live outside of normal humanity and have been in this battle struggling against each other for generations. And I was sitting up here looking, trying to figure out the names of the different clans, but it would take too much reading to get to where it was. But it is an extremely good read. If you read this book and you enjoy it, one of our friends, Brian Hawkins, who co-writes Black Cotton, he has a book known as Devil's Dominion.
Devil's
And
Dominion.
Devil's Dominion has 5 issues. Thanks to him, I've gotten 5 autographed copies, I think. But Devil's Dominion is very similar in tone and nature of Rise of the Jinn. You have a black woman character who is part of a secret sect or whatever, who sees things that other people cannot see and has certain powers that are just now becoming known to her, very much like the character in the Rise of Jinn. Devil's Dominion, if you can find it, from Brian Hawkins, one of our friends, I would encourage you to do so. Read issue 1 and 2 of Rise of Jinn. If you like it, find Devil's Dominion because it is very, very similar in nature, and I think
Very
it's
very similar. Very similar. And the quality they're all up there. I mean, I don't know how many people are reading this, but if there's anything I can do to encourage you to read it, these books, I can't recommend it enough. If for those who are out there who are complaining, there's nothing good on the shelves to read. You just It's just not true. I will fight you on that every day of the week. People say there's nothing good on the shelves to read. There's plenty of stuff. You just gotta go out of your box and look for it. And these are excellent stories done by some excellent talented brothers who are just putting in the work. So really highly encourage y'all to pick those up.
real quick. Going to the comments on Facebook. Gordon Mahone says he's enjoying Nubia. Yes, that is a good book. Amir Wanzer says that he dropped this after issue 1. I'm not sure
Oh,
what
he
book.
was referring to Ordinary Gods, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Gordon says again, White was enjoyable. Gordon, if you liked White, you need to read Black. Gordon also says Black as fuck, Widows and Orphans, and Black as fuck, Devils. Devils Die. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's another one in the series.
Okay. Derek Harrison said 2500 first print. I'm
That's for
thinking
White.
he means for White. Yep. Uh, Gordon says just now says that Rise of the Jinn is a good read. Gordon, if you like Rise of the Jinn, you will like. I have no doubt that you will like Devil's Dominion from Brian Hawkins. Brian, who is one of our friends, has. I swear that dude has 5 ongoing books that he's writing, as well as being the editor for another book called Nottingham. That's volume 2 is getting ready to come out. If you haven't read Nottingham, if you like um, the Robin Hood legend, you will like Nottingham. It doesn't focus on Robin of Locksley. It focuses on the sheriff of Nottingham, and he's not an asshole, as you see. What's my man's name who played Hans Gruber? Snape. What's his name?
Oh, the actor,
Yes,
Alan
Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman.
Rickman. Yeah,
Right. Alan Rickman played. He wasn't the sheriff, but he was King Richard, I think. And his sheriff of Nottingham is a dude who plays in Along Came a Spider. Has a very gravelly voice, very very good character actor. But anyway, in Nottingham, they're not assholes like that. Nottingham is actually in Nottingham. The sheriff of Nottingham is the good guy, and it is a very very good book. I would encourage you to read that. Gordon just said, "Oh yes, I really enjoyed the first issues of Devil's Dominion. We'll work on getting the rest." Yes, there are 5 issues. Like the art, like the story. Very good. Very very good.
gotta
And I
get
like
these
how
issues.
these comments are popping up, so we don't have to go searching for them. I like that.
Here's
Yeah.
issue 2 of Devil's Dominion. Here's issue 3. Fantastic art too, by the way.
Yeah, I like the art.
Issue 4.
Once again, you have a black female lead. We don't have that enough. And even though this involves powers and things of that nature, it's not a superhero book. I wouldn't classify it as such. But issue number 5 was kind of crazy, man. I enjoyed it.
Don't
Shout out to
spoil it for
Brian.
me because I haven't read it yet.
I'm not spoiling anything, but shout out to Brian Hawkins again, one of our friends. He does some good work. He does some good work. Have you read Noctera?
Not the latest issue, so especially not the blacktop bill issue. I haven't read it yet. I
Yeah,
thumbed through it, but I haven't read it.
yeah, I've not read it either. But if you can, you need to find and pick up Noctera. Now,
That
Noctera,
is literally one of the best books on the shelves right now.
well, it's not on right now, but it was one of the. You know what, Noctera? We didn't do a top 10 list. At least I didn't for 2021. But Noctera would be in my top 10 of books released entirely in 2021. Very good book. Basically, in this world, a science experiment went wrong and basically somehow blocked out all natural light. I don't know if it destroyed the sun. I don't recall what happened, but basically there's nothing but perpetual night in Noctera. And the darkness will transform any biological creature, be it plant life or animal, into something dangerous and dark. And humans, we're like parasites, not parasites, but we're kind of like roaches, is that we always find a way to survive. And in the Noctera world, despite the fact that there is no natural light anymore, humans find a way to continue, they find a way to live, they find a way to thrive. And the main character is yet again a female character whose name escapes me, who acts as basically a transporter who drives a truck from one outpost to another, transporting goods and people through the darkness. Very, very good book. It is not a capes and cows book. I would term this as yet another horror book. But it involves a female who appears to be black, and very, very, very well done. Very good book. Uh, this book, the one that Paul is no, no, not that one. This one, Blacktop Bill Special. This book is about the main. I'm guessing is about the main antagonist known as Blacktop Bill. I can't wait to read it. I will be doing so on Saturday. But you need to pick that book up. It's very, very good. Yeah. So those are the main books since since the last time we talked. Dark Blood is another one that you guys should probably pick up if you haven't seen it yet.
That one's wrapping up now too, right?
It should be with the next issue or two. Real quick, did you do something to make comments from Facebook pop up on our screen? Did you do something special, or did it?
It's part of the program.
Because I've seen some of the comments pop up, but not all of them. So I was just wondering if you could make it do that normally.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Okay, but yeah, if you can make it do what it do and have it pop up, that would be cool. You've seen Spider Man, so we're switching gears. So we talked about all the comic books. We're switching gears. Have you seen Spider Man? You've seen Spider Man, yes?
Yes,
What did you think?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Um, I think I'm trying to decide if it is the best Spider-Man movie ever.
It is.
Well, I
It
mean,
is. For the
maybe.
longest time, Sam Raimi's Spider Man 2. I keep on check. She was on back. Less. Calling it quits now, baby. I'm a wreck. Please bring me a wreck. Ooh. Certain things you just can't refuse. Miles. She wanna drive me. Miles. Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
greatest Spider-Man. I mean, unless you have singing, you can't be the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time.
Yeah. Okay. I was talking to one of me and Paul's mutual friends by the name of Mark, another Mark, and both of us have seen Spider-Man not Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, that was the first one, right? Into the Spider-Verse.
The with Miles?
Yes.
Yes, the second one hasn't come out yet.
Oh, right. But okay. The first animated Spider-Man movie with Miles Morales has universal acclaim. I mean, people hail this movie to no end. They say it's the best comic book movie ever, blah blah blah. Mark, the other Mark, and I, both of us have seen that movie, and neither one of us understand the hype around it. It's cool, it's interesting, it's entertaining, but for me, I don't find it to be the best Spider-Man movie. I don't find it to be the best animated movie. What you talking about? Um, DC has put out some great animated movies that I think are better than that movie. Personally, it's cool, it's all right, but to me, it seems overhyped.
You are literally insane.
Sure, but I'm not alone in my insanity. It was a cool movie, but I don't think it is the best Spider-Man movie. Now, Far From Home, that was this most recent one, right?
No Way Home.
No Way Home. No Way Home. No Way Home is by far the best Spider-Man movie. It is a top 10 MCU movie. It's not number 10. I will begrudgingly admit that Tom Holland is now the best Peter Parker / Spider-Man. For me, Tom Holland was it for a very, very long time. I was never a fan of Andrew
You mean
Garfield.
Tobey Maguire?
What did I say?
You said Tom Holland twice.
Yeah, right. Sorry. Tobey Maguire, for the longest time, was the best Peter Parker / Spider-Man. I was never enamored with Andy Garfield. But Tom Holland definitely has supplanted him. But he's had more material to work with. He's had 3 solo movies as well as 2 appearances in Avengers movies. So that's 5 appearances that he's had to Tobey Maguire's now 4. So Yeah, but Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man slash
Peter
Peter
Parker.
Parker. And
Yeah, I'm an odd duck in that regard. I'm actually a big fan of Andy Garfield. I like
not
Andrew Garfield because he does the more modern interpretation of Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire does the original Peter Parker from the 60s. That's Tobey Maguire. The more demure, more responsible, uh, nerdy, but reserved, sort of Clark Kent type of Spider Man. But around the 90s or so, Peter Parker became more wisecracking. That was part of his shtick, being kind of the comedic relief type of superhero. Not Deadpool levels, of course, but certainly wisecracking and dropping one-liners was a big part of his shtick. Having that swag when he's fighting and he's dropping one-liners. Um, Andy Garfield exemplified that better than actually all three Spider-Men, because Tom Holland doesn't even do it like that. I like that aspect of Andy Garfield's Peter Parker and Spider-Man because he seemed more like a kid from Queens in that regard than the other two. Andrew Garfield always have a special place in my heart for that aspect of him.
I like Andy Garfield
But I,
as an
but I
actor.
agree. I agree that Tom Holland is now the number one Peter
I
Parker.
like Andy Garfield as an actor. I didn't realize for the longest time that dude was a Brit, but he's the number three Peter Parker slash Spider Man. Going back to the books White and the books Black, written by the author. On Twitter, he goes by the name of Kwanzer. That's at Kwanzer. Kwanzer at Kwanzer. He's a good follow. He responds to tweets. Very very cool. Very very cool. Very very good writer. I really liked Black. I really liked White. Speaking of follows and things of that nature, you Paul know from our conversations here in this space how much I liked the book Uber. I was finally able to complete the entire Uber run. I just discovered Uber in 2021, maybe
Shout out to
2020.
Kane and White.
Yeah. He doesn't, what I didn't realize until recently is that he didn't illustrate every issue. It was between him and this other person whose name I don't know right now. But basically, the book Uber, not the ride sharing app, Uber is a book that's about 27, 28 issues involving World War II and how Germany was able to create a literal super soldier with super soldier powers. And there was an arms race between the Allies and the Nazis, um, to develop superhuman soldiers. Gordon Mahan just said, I think Spider-Man No Way Home is the best live action Spider-Man movie, and Tom Holland is the best Peter Parker, and Gordon is absolutely right. There is no argument from me with that. Derek Harrison said, I like Andrew Garfield, but I did not like the material he was given to work with. Derek is correct. Andrew is cool, but the movie sucked to me. Gordon says Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is one of the best superhero movies, period. And clearly Gordon has been drinking a lot tonight. Gordon put the bottle down. It was cool. It was a cool it was a cool movie, but personally, I just do not understand the hype. I really don't. I'm not saying it was bad. It was cool. And what's crazy about that movie is that a lot of the voice, well, I'm going to say a lot, but several of the voice actors in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse are now live action MCU characters. For example, Mahershala Ali, who's going to be playing Blade, was the voice of the Prowler, Miles' uncle. Catherine Hahn, who is Agatha Harkness in WandaVision, voiced the female Doc Ock.
Doc Ock, yeah.
Spider Gwen was voiced by
Haley Stansfield.
Haley Stansfield, who plays the character in Hawkeye, which was a good series. Um, that's a good point. What you talk about, Mark? I said what I said, Derek, bruh. I said what I said. All right. But since we're talking about that,
What you
of
talking
the
about?
of the MCU Disney Plus shows, how would you rank them? Have you seen all of them, Paul?
Of course I have.
Okay. How would you rank the Disney Plus MCU shows? There are
How
four.
many? How many of them are there?
Four. WandaVision,
There's
Loki, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye.
5. What if?
That is a good point. Yes. 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 Yes.
Starting
I
from
was
the starting from 5, working my way up. Number 5 would be Hawkeye.
I agree.
Number 4 would be Loki. Number 3 would be. I'm thinking about this. What if? Number 2, WandaVision. Number 1, Falcon and Winter Soldier. You could change
Okay.
those around, but you would be absolutely wrong.
Starting from the top. Starting. Sure. Starting from the top for me. Number one would be WandaVision. Number two would be Loki. Number three would be What If. Number four would be Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Number five would be
Number
Hawkeye. So we
4,
agree at number five. It was
you put Captain America and Winter Soldier as number 4.
yes. I enjoy
I did not know that you did
from
cocaine.
from the perspective of not only the story, but the effect that the story had on the larger MCU, on the larger MCU. Um, I don't think that Captain America has as large an impact on the MCU, definitely as WandaVision did, definitely as Loki did with the whole multiverse thing. So that's the only reason why it gets that level. And
Yeah,
What If
no,
was
I
just a
mean,
fun ride. What If was just fun. What If was fun and it was good.
geez, dude, I can't disagree with you more. Yeah, I can't disagree with you more. I mean, first of all,
And that's fun.
I don't take into consideration the fact that it has to tie in to the impact it has on the rest of the MCU in my rankings. If anything, I believe the opposite of that. A story should be a good story on its own, regardless of its impact on the broader MCU. A perfect example of that is Shang-Chi. Not a lot of overly powerful impacts on the MCU. Um, Barely even referenced. If Shang-Chi had nothing to do with Marvel, he took all the MCU references out, it would still be a good movie on its own. And I use that as my criteria for ranking a film. Look, the I cannot discount the cultural significance of Marvel being bold enough, Disney being bold enough of introducing the truth, red, white, and black storyline, even just in the attenuated, brief manner that they did in this series. I mean, hats off to Malcolm Spellman, the brother who was a showrunner of that show, for managing to get that done. Um, the themes that he dealt with, the issues that he dealt with, I never thought Disney would greenlight. Um, when Isaiah Bradley looked at the screen and he said, "No, I would never want to be Captain America, and no self-respecting black man would ever want to be Captain America." Every black man in America who watched that felt that. Felt that. That was powerful television. Powerful television. I didn't have a moment like that in any of the other shows that we mentioned. And there were a few scenes that were like that in that series. Um, I'm not a particularly big fan of Sam Wilson becoming Captain America. I mean, that's irrelevant to me. Falcon is Falcon. I mean, he's just Falcon Cap when he wears red, white, and blue. But that's a topic for another day. The fact remains that in terms of action, story building, world building, um, the seeing the burgeoning relationship between Bucky and Falcon
That was
develop,
that
that
was
was really
funny.
cool.
That and
There was
his
like a,
sister, that was funny. That was funny.
yeah,
That was funny.
I mean, the fact that Bucky got invited to not one but two cookouts in his life. I mean, Bucky's officially like a brother at this point.
And I would go that far.
Um, I mean, jeez, he's been invited to two. The Dora Milaje expansion, because you had the Dora Milaje take center stage on this show without having Black Panther or Shuri or any of the royals of Wakanda on the show. I mean,
Listen,
they
I'm not
stood on their own. I mean,
listen.
Ayo
I'm
became
not
a
saying
star.
that it was bad. I didn't say it was bad at all. But for me, okay, so for me, I just like the other ones a little bit more. So Gordon says number one, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, number two, WandaVision, number three, Loki, number four, Hawkeye. So the fact that you put Hawkeye over What If, I question your entire list, Gordon. I'm sorry. Hawkeye. What if was hilarious. What If was good. I really liked What If.
I will say, what if
Is
gets
I'm
bumped
sorry.
because
What If is not better than Hawkeye?
if you
You
want to
know,
do the MCU impact analysis, then I think of all the shows, What If and Loki have the greatest impact on the MCU because of the multiverse aspect.
Loki to me, Loki and WandaVision, because WandaVision obviously leads into Doctor Strange and the Universe of Madness or whatever it's going to be called. Um,
Well,
it was just really really cool, and then
I mean, it opens up the dark
I
hold.
really
I mean, when you think about the WandaVision, it introduced Monica Rambeau. That puts it at my number
yep.
two by itself.
That's Teyona
Because
Paris,
even
right?
oh yes, it
Excuse
is.
me. That's Teyona Paris.
Yes, sir, it
Teyona
is.
Paris is fine, and if she ever sees this, I would like to ask her to marry me, at least for a weekend.
You
She
might
is
want to
fine.
ask her out on a date
She's
first, but
fine.
okay. Um,
No, I mean I only need it
but
for a
but
weekend.
WandaVision didn't really deal with the multiverse. WandaVision dealt with the dark hold and the expansion of Wanda's powers. It didn't really deal directly with the multiverse. Loki directly dealt with the multiverse. And let me
Yep.
tell y'all,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I've been saying this, y'all have heard me say this for over a year. That don't sleep on that Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie. I've been saying this for a year. That is probably one of the most important films the MCU will ever create. Because once the multiverse
What is
is
up with
fully
his
integrated,
hair?
we'll get to that in a second. Once the multiverse is fully integrated into the MCU and moviegoers, the casuals, MCU moviegoers understand how it works and the significance of it, the storylines become there are no limits to the storylines that they can do. With the multiverse, literally anything is possible. Characters you thought were dead can come back.
Okay,
Characters you've never
let's
seen
address a
before can
couple.
be introduced.
Let's address a couple of things since you mentioned that, and it's on my mind now. A couple of things. Number one, I just realized we haven't had an icon book in a minute. Reginald Hutland, what's up, dude? We need a new icon book. That's I of the milestone books. That is my favorite, followed by Static. We need a new icon. Not in the hardware. I tried hardware. I got issue one. Don't like the art. The story was okay. Blah, whatever. But
Again, cocaine is a hell of a drug.
right, you would know. Um,
I would
Speaking of
not.
the multiverse, I know there are people who are going to say, okay, you can have a T'Challa from a different universe come in and you can have a different actor because we have this whole variant thing that Loki introduced, and you can have a new actor playing T'Challa. What people don't understand is that in the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, T'Challa is not dead. Chadwick Boseman, God rest his lovely soul, is the one who has passed on. You do not have to kill off the character of T'Challa in order to have a new actor play that same role without getting into the complexities of the multiverse. And that's one of the things that annoys me the most out there. That and the fact of people saying they want Michael B. Jordan, aka Killmonger, to come back and rule Wakanda. I'm like, T'Challa isn't dead. Marvel recast T'Challa. That's it. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, here's a statement from Derek. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness will be huge. Yes, you're absolutely right. X-Men intro, multiple variants of important characters, Illuminati.
Damn!
Okay, Derek. Okay. Derek throwing the gauntlet down. Just, I mean, he letting all the cookies out. The one that we're missing though, hopefully, and I will be severely disappointed, more disappointed than I was when I watched this latest Spider-Man movie and I didn't see Miles Morales. I will be severely disappointed if they don't introduce Brother Voodoo, Dr. Voodoo.
Yeah.
Got to introduce that brother in that. Got to introduce him.
Real quick, the comments from Facebook. Gordon says, I hear you, Mark. It is hard to choose in reference to the ranking of the Disney Plus shows. I truly enjoyed What If, especially the job Jeffrey Wright did in voicing the Watcher. Jeffrey Wright is one of the best actors out there. He's one of the best actors out there who I don't think he's even been nominated for an Oscar, let alone won one. Him and Giancarlo Esposito are two of the best actors out there who've never gotten the accolades that they deserve. There's a movie called Syriana that is a multi-pronged, multifaceted movie about the Middle East. Jeffrey Wright plays a character who is a lawyer in DC working for like an oil company. Let me tell you something. That brother can act. The movies that you need to watch are Cadillac Records and Shaft from 1999 or 2000.
I was wondering if you would add Shaft.
Of course.
Oh my God.
Because
And
I'm
you're
gonna tell you
100% right.
Shaft was my first exposure to Jeffrey Wright.
Yes.
I thought the brother was a damn Dominican or Puerto Rican. The way he acted. Tiger Woo.
Tiger Woo. So you got the thing and you want to do this, my friend.
Let me tell you something. I didn't realize that he was just a regular brother from like Chicago or DC or wherever the hell he's from. Jeffrey Wright also plays in Westworld on HBO.
Yes.
That brother, listen, the fact that I don't think he's ever been nominated for an Oscar, let alone hasn't won one, is a travesty. He and Columbus Short both should have been nominated for Cadillac Records, about the record company, real life record company, that had Etta James on it and Howling Wolf, whatever his name was. Jeffrey Wright is a phenomenal actor. Gordon says that he thinks that Jeffrey is from DC, and you may very well be right. He played the black artist who died very, very young in a Tiffany's jewelry store commercial. Beyonce and Jay-Z had one of his pictures. What is that artist's name? What's that artist's name? But basically,
Michael Basquiat.
Basquiat. Yes. In the mid 90s, Jeffrey Wright played Basquiat in a movie. I watched the movie online or whatever. And he listen. Jeffrey Wright is one of the best actors out there now, and he does not get the accolades that he deserves. He just does not. But he killed it as the voice of the Watcher. I like the alt stories. We're talking about What If now. I like the alt.
I would actually consider getting his Watcher Funko Pop.
Yes,
which is very melanated, by the way. Did you notice?
Well, here's the thing. His Funko Pop is a build. No, his Funko Pop. I'm sorry, but his action figure, I think, is a build a figure. Did you get the What If T'Challa Star-Lord? Did you get that? Have you gotten that figure?
The action figure?
Yes, the What If T'Challa Star-Lord.
No, I have the Funko Pop. I don't have the action figure.
Okay, you should get the action figure as well. I have this what if Star Lord T'Challa with the mask and without, I believe. Um, let's see. Wright will kill it in Batman. He's an excellent actor. Yes. Jeffrey Wright will play Jim Gordon in the new Batman movie coming out. He also was Felix Leiter in
James Bond.
the James Bond movie starring Daniel Craig. I don't, as an aside, I don't like how they did the last James Bond movie because they basically, spoiler alert, this is a spoiler alert, cover your
Killed
ears.
everybody.
They killed off Leiter, they killed off James Bond. They've never done that before. I don't know why they did it this time. I didn't agree with it.
Lighter's died in the James Bond movies before.
Which one has he died in?
Oh wait, he died, but then he had his just leg got cut off. That was in not a View to Kill, License to Kill with Timothy Dalton.
I've seen those only once 30 years ago. I can't even tell you anything about those. But, they made it seem very permanent that Felix Leiter and James Bond were killed in this last iteration of James Bond, which I didn't like, but it was a very good movie. As an aside, not Loretta Lynch, but what is her first name? Lynch,
Um,
not Loretta, because that
I
was
know
the
you're
eight.
talking about. It's oh geez, her last name is definitely Lynch.
Yes,
Lashana Lynch.
yes.
Lashonda
Basically,
Lynch.
she played Monica Rambeau's mother in Captain Marvel.
Maria Rambeau.
That chick is fine. Do you hear me? I mean, dark complexion, fit. She, bruh, let me tell you something. The things that I would do to, for, and with her.
Bro.
Oh,
Do you need a moment? You want me to take you
no,
off
I'm
screen?
good. I'm
Get
good.
some
I'm good.
tissues, some
I'm good.
lotion. You good?
So the last, oh God, dog it. So the last James Bond movie was No Time to Die, and her name is LaShawn. Yeah, you were right, Lashana Lynch. Lashana Lynch, for those who don't know, took over the 007 moniker. Okay, she was 007. A black woman was 007. To me, that's not an issue. When James After James Bond retired after the movie whatever he was in, he retired. Lashana Lynch's character took over the 007 moniker. James Bond in No Time to Die comes back and he reestablishes himself as 007 and she kind of steps to the side. But she is fine. She is bad. And Paul and I was having a conversation on my Facebook page about this. What I think should happen is Lashana Lynch, as whatever her character name is, should get her own series of movies. Um, to have a black woman as a super spy. As an aside, today, Friday, a movie called 355, Agent 355, I think it is, has been released. In real life, during the Revolutionary War, George Washington had a spy who spied for the colonials against the British, a female who was known as Agent 355. That was a real life person. We never know her name. That name has been lost to history. But some female spies have been known as Agent 355. There is a movie called Agent 355 or something along those lines. It has Lupita Nyong'o and a whole bunch of other women who are spies from different spy agencies from different countries. And it looks like it's going to be pretty good. So I'll probably go see that myself tomorrow. We as fans of movies and shows should support this type of stuff so we can get more of it. So that's just an aside, and I think it'll probably be good. So anyway, that was that.
I was trying to remember what was the other show you wanted to talk about. I
Oh,
can't remember.
Invasion from Apple TV. If you like, I firmly believe that there's life, intelligent life, sentient life in the universe, in the galaxies outside of planet Earth.
Hell, I'd
I
be happy just finding some in America.
I firmly believe that that life, intelligent life, has visited this planet. In the Apple Plus, I think it's an Apple Plus series called Invasion. The planet Earth, is being invaded by aliens. Um, it's a very, very slow burn, but it is an extremely good show. I'm really, really enjoying it. It has about three or four separate storylines. Um, One of the storylines involves a black character whose name I'm about to look up in a minute. And I was like, this brother, good looking brother, over 6 feet tall, relatively young. I'm like, hey, this cat could be a replacement, God rest Chadwick Boseman's soul, as T'Challa. But when I posted this on several pages on Facebook, I was told that that cat was is going to be in the Marvels, which is Captain Marvel #2, I think. Right? Am I right?
Yes,
Captain Marvel #2 will be known as the Marvels. Yes.
correct.
Okay.
That's why I think Blue Marvel will be introduced because they didn't call it. They call it the Marvels.
Right. Right. Um. But anyway, this brother, he's one of the storylines in this movie, and he plays a soldier in this series. I'm sorry, in this series Invasion, he is a soldier who is, attacked by these aliens, whatever the case may be. But he was also in some other stuff. There was a show on Netflix that came out around November, December that was directed by Halle Berry called Bruised. And in the series, Halle Berry, that she directs and acts in, is a former fighter who comes out of retirement to be an MMA fighter.
My
The
wife watched it. She loved that movie.
Yeah, this dude who I'm talking about, whose name I'll give you in a moment, plays a fight promoter, and he was like an asshole in it, right? And so I never really thought about him, but when I saw him in this series Invasion, I'm like, this brother can act. And considering the fact that he was in Bruised, I'm like, okay, I can see him. He's shown different character traits, which means that he's a good actor. There are certain people, Vince Vaughn, looking at you, who seem to play the same character in different roles, right? This brother who I'm talking about, whose name I'm about to give you, is a very, very good actor. But again, he may be in the Marvels, so he's taken out of contention to play T'Challa. But his name is Shamir Anderson. Shamir Anderson. That's SHAMIER Anderson. This brother can act. Listen to what I'm telling you. Shamir Anderson. Go to Google, look him up. He's a very good actor. Some of the stuff that he's been in, he's got 48 credits. There's a show that was on Netflix last year called Awake. I haven't finished watching that. He was in that. He was in the movie Race, which stars Stephen James as Jesse Owens leading up to the 1932 Olympics in Germany. Stephen James is one of my top three candidates to replace Chadwick Boseman, God rest his soul, as T'Challa. Um, this brother, Shamir Anderson,
Speaking
is
of
in my top five.
replacements, the replacements for Chadwick Boseman, you and I agree. You told me about, and I agree with you. Damson Idris of Snowfall. I still think he's my number one choice. Um, when Snowfall come back?
Oh, I lost you. Don't know. It comes back soon. I think in February. I think in
Okay.
February. Yeah. But if you want to see the brother that I'm talking about, watch Invasion, watch Awake, watch Bruised. Like I said, he was in Race, but I have no independent recollection of him from that. Okay. And Race came out in 2016. Stephen James is my #3 choice to replace Chadwick Boseman, God rest his soul, as T'Challa because the brother can act. He was also in one of Chadwick Boseman's three last roles, which was 21 Bridges. Great movie, very very good movie. But my number one choice to replace Chadwick Boseman is Damson Idris. Number two is Sope Dirisu, who played in Gangs of London. Number three is Steven. And then I would say that number four is this brother that I keep telling you about just now, Mr. Anderson. But, if he's in the Marvels, then it's a moot point. So, anyway, that's that.
The
So
only
that's
the only
pretty much
problem with
it,
Sophie
man.
Dirisu
That's
is
pretty
his
much
age.
it. No, dude, he's 30, 31 years old. He looks like he's 46. He's practically the same age as Damson Idris.
That's crazy.
I mean, you're laughing, but I'm serious. He's not older than 32. In fact, I will tell you how old he is. If you guys do not have IMDb downloaded on your phone, I would highly encourage you to do so. Let's see.
Especially if you're into
Give me
fan
one second.
casting as much as you
Okay,
are.
Google. How old is Sope Dirisu?
You said that, and my phone just activated.
Sope Dirisu is 30 years.
He's
When I
30?
said that,
Yeah.
he's 30. He's the exact same age as Damson Idris. He looks, for those of you who are still with us, who are watching, go on Google, look up Sope Dirisu. He's 30 years old. He is the same age. In fact, I want to say that Damson Idris is older than he is, but they're roughly around the same age. But Sope presents a lot older than 30. So, yeah,
We
but those are
uh
my
we
top
we,
two.
we recently interviewed Emmanuel Mosset, E-Man Movie Reviews, the guy who founded the Recast T'Challa movement. Did you see the video? Did you say no?
Not yet.
Oh, when you get a chance, I
Not yet.
strongly encourage you to watch it. He makes some very valid points on why it's important to recast T'Challa, and he also dispels many of the.
Listen,
Hold on, he dispels many of the criticisms of the movement and many of the misconceptions about what recast T'Challa really means. I mean, I can't possibly do it justice. He spoke at length and in detail, and he converted Herschel even into a recast T'Challa guy, which is it's just significant because Herschel hates Black
here's,
Panther.
here's the thing. It seems to me, based on my review over the past 2.5 years, that those who are against recasting T'Challa are not comic book fans at all.
Right.
They are Chadwick Boseman fans. They are Chadwick Boseman Black Panther fans, not fans of the character himself. Chadwick Boseman, God rest his soul, died in August of 2020. By September of 2020, I personally, on my own Facebook page, was saying this character needs to be recast. I just created the hashtag. I definitely did create a not GoFundMe, but you know a signature. What is that called when you get the signatures for people?
Change.org.
Yeah, I definitely didn't do that. But within a month of Chadwick Boseman's death, responding and pushing back to those people who said the character needs to die because the actor died, I thought was just absolutely ridiculous. In the MCU, T'Challa is still alive. So there is no logical reason to kill the character. There are plenty of actors. Basically, what you're saying is that there is no actor on the face of the planet who can do justice to that character, and that's just absolutely ridiculous. Chadwick Boseman did a phenomenal job. I will never take that away from him. But there are other actors out there, Damson Idris, Sope Dirisu, Stephen James, who can do as good a job as Chadwick did. So it's just an asinine proposition to me to think that the character needs to die because the actor did. You know, T'Challa as a character is an extremely important part of the Marvel universe, not just the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the Marvel universe in and of itself. And it just annoys me to no end when I see people in spaces talking about how the character needs to die, he never needs to be recast, give the title, the mantle of Black Panther to Shuri, all this stuff. It just shows me that these people don't really give AF about the character of T'Challa, which people like you and I do because we've been reading him for so long. So that's that.
You never hear this mantle discussion until this Black Panther debate. Um, he pointed out, a good analogy. It's like even when you had this latest James Bond movie, James Bond, you said Lashonda Lynch, for example, she became the new 007. In essence, the mantle of 007 was passed on to Lashonda Lynch, but James Bond was still alive, and they still did a
Yep.
movie on him. And
Yep.
he pointed out that there's never been a movie called 007. The movie's called what? James Bond. Because it's not
Well,
about the mantle, it's about the man.
the character.
It's about the character, it's about the man, it's about the person. The person is what drives the story ultimately. It's not simply about the mantle. And this is the only time this mantle discussion ever comes up. It's ridiculous.
Right. There's this chick who has an extremely large following on Twitter by
See,
the
when you
name.
started out saying there's this chick that has an extremely large, I thought this was going to go in a completely different direction.
Okay.
Because,
There's this,
it's you.
there's this chick on Twitter who has an extremely large following by the name of, I don't know what her name is, but she goes by the Reign of April. And about 2 months ago, she posted on Twitter that T'Challa needs to die, basically, and the role never needs to be recast. And she muted the comments. She muted the comments because she didn't want to hear any dispute or debate. And I'm like, clearly, you, April, whoever you are, don't read comic books. If you read comic books, you would understand how important T'Challa as the first black recognized superhero in comics across all companies is. And to say that that character needs to die because a phenomenal actor died is just ridiculous. Real quick, Derek Harrison says E-Man covered all the bases in an airtight argument for recast T'Challa in the interview. And Derek, what I will say is that E-Man probably read my Twitter feed and stole my arguments. I'm just going to say that. I don't know that, but I'm just going to say that. I don't know what he said, but I've been saying since September of 2020, when Chadwick unfortunately lost his life, that the character of T'Challa needs to be recast. So anyway. But look, man, we've been on here for practically 2 hours at this point. I've got something actually that I have to do. As always, it has been fun. It has been enjoyable. I thank those of you who have joined us, whatever the platform is, be it YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, MySpace, Black Planet, whatever it was. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to have to bounce here in a second.
Yeah, please, if you're watching this, help us out. If you've enjoyed this content, like, subscribe, follow on all of our social media outlets on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. It really helps us out. It allows us to do stuff like all of what you see here. So help us out. Again, it's always a pleasure to speak to my man, Mark. Thank you for coming out. God bless y'all. Good night. And on that note,
Keep on back! Keep on back! Keep on back!
Wakanda forever.
All right, later.